Well, as the old saying goes, while the cat's away, the mice will play. I'm at Mom's house watching her dog again. And I'm going to make this soup that I was going to make the other day. So I'm going to get out some vegetables. I'm not sure exactly. I don't think Mom has any potatoes around. There is rice. So I guess I could do it like a gumbo. She doesn't have a real great selection of vegetables, like I said. Let me keep looking around, see what she's got. Well, she does have a few potatoes, so I guess I'll do potatoes. Let me find the onion from the other day, if it's still around. Well, there's getting everything ready. I'm going to start with the onion just because I want to saute that a little bit, or at least put it in some oil with some heat, let it get some flavor. And I'm not sure if I'm going to do the meat the same way or if I'll throw it in the microwave, because that's actually seemed to work very well. But first things first, I need to wash my hands. I do have somewhat of an obsessive thing about washing my hands. My hands are usually clean because I don't like the feel of anything on them. It seems that whenever I decide to start cooking, I don't immediately before wash my hands, so I end up getting things out and then saying, oh yeah, wait a minute, let's wash my hands. They're typically usually clean because of my habit of always keeping my hands clean. But still, I do like to keep my hands clean prior to cooking, even if I do usually start without getting them clean. Ago, I mentioned a friend of my mom's getting a new induction stove that wouldn't work with anything that wasn't magnetic. Here is a Gotham steel pan. However, Gotham steel pan is aluminum. It was given to me because she couldn't use it, and she knows I help Mom cook a lot. I'm going to use that for the onions and celery. This is the onion and celery. It's starting to steam. I'm going to probably add a little bit of water to let it continue. Although I want it to get a little bit of flavor. I put about a maybe a half a tablespoon to a tablespoon of oil in. So I'm going to leave that for a minute. Going to go back to the carrots and then the potatoes. I haven't determined what pan I'm going to use, whether to do the Dutch oven on the stove or the crock pot. I'm going to finish cutting the carrots to kind of get an idea how many I'm going to have, and then I'll make that decision. I think I do want to do a couple more carrots. Mom likes a lot of carrots. She says it's because her dad liked a lot. Well, I've decided on the crock pot. I am making this mostly vegetarian, and besides sauteing the onions and celery for flavor, the carrots take the longest time to cook. Actually, the potatoes will be the last thing I add. I'm just going to put some water in. That's a considerable amount of carrots there. Put some water in, and then do the meat. Because I'm doing the meat for flavor, and this meat has fairly good flavor, I think I'm going to actually do it in the microwave and just let it cook in that. But I'm going to add some water to this. I dropped a carrot. I've got to find that, and then we'll get back to it over at the stove. The onions and celery are looking good. Still want a little bit more. Gonna add just a touch of water. A couple ounces of water there, and now I actually need to go back and do the potatoes. With the potatoes, I'm not a huge fan of them. Mom's husband likes them, but I'm going to use what she's got. Because I'm preparing these now instead of waiting till later, I'm going to put them in salt water so that they don't go brown. I haven't decided how I'm going to cut the potatoes yet, and I have to determine that, but I need to toss the onions and celery a bit first. Those are looking good. They're beginning to smell really good. I'm just going to brush them down off the edges. Oh, how to cut the potatoes. I think I'm going to do them in larger chunks, just like this. I've already added a little bit of salt to the water here. So I'm just going to add the potatoes to the salt water to keep them from going brown. I don't know if you can see it there, but the potato starch on the knife just from cutting the potato. the onions and celery are doing better. I added a little more water. I want to steam them a little more to soften them and get out some flavor. The carrots are in the crock pot. It's on high. It's not warm yet, but it's getting there. The potatoes are in water to be added later. And now I'm just going to do something about the meat. And like I said, I think I'm going to just use the microwave. I don't want, well, it adds flavor on this particular one. I don't want the flavor from the browning in the pan, because you lose a lot of the other flavor. And doing it in the microwave, I've noticed, you keep that from the liquid, the fat, which I want in this, because I'm not using a lot of meat. So I want to keep as much of that fabulous flavor as possible. And so that's what I'm going to do next. I'm not going to use a lot of the meat, not all of it I should say, but let's get to the meat. This is the meat that I have. Like I said, I'm not going to use it all. And I'm not sure yet if I'm going to cut it up smaller or not. Well, I might use it all. Yeah, I am going to cut that up smaller. These are actually just pieces that I cut while I was cutting a pork loin into steaks, and these were just some extras, and so I tossed them in a bag and had it as pork stew. Mom labeled that. So I'm going to cut these up a little smaller. I don't want huge pieces. That's not the purpose of this particular, oh, I didn't want to do that. This particular soup, because I want flavor more so than big chunks of meat. This is how a lot of countries and cultures in the world do, and they probably use even less meat than what I'm using. And they probably use a wider variety, goat, lamb, sheep, who knows, beyond pork. Can be done with any number of different varieties of meat, but it's a flavor, not a course. Speaking of, since Mom still has a couple, these are the mini meatloafs I made on Sunday, and they came out pretty good. It needed more oatmeal and I didn't get enough in, but they did turn out pretty good. Other than that, the meat was fattier than I thought it was, or I would have put more oatmeal, but it still came out tasting good and being good. There's that carrot that I just dropped on the floor. Sorry, I had to do the meat a little bit. I'm just going to cut this meat up and then I'm going to microwave it. Smaller pieces, and I'll get back to it when we are further along. This is only about 5 ounces. 5.5 ounces. I'm going to put it in the microwave now and do the cooking for the meat. I have 2 microwaves myself, and I'm going to turn these off. Actually, I'm going to add them to the carrots. I have a 1,000 watt that's in storage, and I have a 750 watt that I'm using. It's smaller. And I've learned a lot about microwave cooking using the smaller, lower power microwave. And so I'm actually cooking this in stages. And just because it's easier, I'm doing 55 seconds at power level 5. And then I'm going to transfer the onions and celery in with the carrots. They're smelling wonderful. That little bit of time in the pan has definitely helped. Here's the meat. It's actually cooked a little bit better now. I'm going to use this spoon that I used for the onions and celery to stir it around a little bit. And see that liquid? That's where the flavor is. It'll gain fat, but it's just adds wonderful flavor. And I'm going to do this just again for 55 on power level 5. This is what we're looking at with the vegetables so far. It's starting to warm up a little bit. I can feel some heat, but it looks wonderful. I'm going to have to add some more liquid. I don't want to add the salt water with the potatoes later, so I'm going to add the liquid now instead. That has now almost well, about 1 3/8 liters. Okay, this is almost done. It's starting to stick together. I don't want that to do that too much. I want it to break apart. I actually thought about this when I was doing it for myself the other day, that grinding the meat would work as well as just cutting it fine. But there's no point in getting out the grinder and setting it up and doing it for literally just a few ounces of meat. And it's steaming, it's looking good, but I still want to get just a little more time on it to make sure that that's fully cooked. And it may actually start to brown just a hair in the microwave. You have to be careful that you can actually dry it out cooking meat in the microwave. You just have to do it slowly so that you don't have issues. There's the carrot off the floor, and it's now mine. I just heard Mom's dog, the tags on her. She woke up, so I'm going to go take her outside, and we'll get right back to it. The meat's definitely done now. It's hot. I'm just stirring it a little bit. I'm going to add all of the liquid. There is some fat in there. I purposely left it. There's not a lot of fat, but that fat will add a ton of flavor to the soup. I used the squeegee on the bowl to get out as much of that liquid flavor as I could, because I do want that all to be in the soup. And now I really have to take out the dog. The soup is looking good. I still will add the potatoes later, but they're the last thing because they cook the fastest. Well, maybe not the fastest, but they'll go to mush if I don't wait till later. I've got to do the cleanup. Need to scrub the board since I cut raw meat on it, particularly because it was pork, as well as some other things. Mom had a few dishes here before. I'm going to take out the garbage, the scrap, slop, whatever you want to call it, bucket. If it had some pigs, it would definitely be a slop bucket. Going to clean up Mom's kitchen. Might be back after, before I do. Yeah, I've got one other thing that I need to do while I'm here at Mom's. So I'm going to take this garbage out, and then we'll get to that. I still haven't done the dishes, but I want to work with the sourdough a bit. It's been in the fridge, and I need to feed it a little bit and get some out. I'm actually mixing the two that I've got in the fridge for what I've got out. As you can tell, this one, for some reason, even though I've been weighing the additions, this one is drier. What I'm leaving in the fridge, I'm just going to feed it 50 grams each of water and flour. It's about 1 2/3 ounces, but grams are just easier for this purpose. What I'm keeping out of this, I'm going to add to as well, but I'll probably add about 75 to 100 grams of each. 75 since I'm at 76 right there. Well, I got 77 on the water, so I'll add a couple more of flour as well. Now I need to put stuff back away, stir everything up, and then wait for the soup. Oh, that reminds me. I was just putting stuff away in Mom's pantry, the flour back in, and when I was doing that, I noticed that there was powdered sugar, and it was something that we got the other day. I'm not sure when, but sometime I exhausted the batteries again. I'm just stirring these. I'm putting these two back in the fridge. I've fed them. And then I'm going to stir the other one and put it out to get it back up to working strength. It'll take a few days. Like I said, Sunday while I was making the mini meatloaf, Mom's husband was asking about them. So we'll do we'll get the sourdough going so we can make some of those. The recipe I use for the sourdough pancakes is from the University of Alaska PDF that I downloaded. And it calls for baking soda. One of these days I'll try to be brave and see about doing it without the soda for added leavening. I have on the list, which I keep forgetting, I've been to the store 3 or 4 times already and keep forgetting, the plastic wide mouth lids. The soup is still looking good. It's smelling wonderful. I think I'm going to probably add some pepper to it, just because I like the flavor of pepper, and it does enhance the soup. I like pepper a lot. Mom says I like it too much. Since I'm making this for her house, I won't put in as much as if it were for me. And I think because it makes all the difference in the world in terms of flavor, I'm just going to put a tad bit of sea salt. I don't even think I'll use all of that. Just a small pinch to that, because food without salt is very bland. Salt does add a lot of flavors. It adds to the finished result no matter what. I'm going to clean up. I've got the sourdough out. I'll have to remember to feed that. I've got to do the dishes. But Now that I've left Mom's kitchen a mess, I've got to do it. Thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll get this able to get this edited and posted today or tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of editing, speeding up. You don't have to watch me cut vegetables at standard speed. And we'll get back to it. My mom isn't totally blind. She is legally blind. So I don't leave anything sharp sitting out that she could hurt herself. If she's playing in the drawers, that's her own fault, but I'm not going to leave it out and let her risk hurting herself. So I'm going to dry these knives. I got the dishes done. Forgot the pan, even though I told myself to remember it. But I'm going to dry the knives. The soup does look and smell superb. Oh no, I did wash the pan. I am dropping stuff. But I just thought I'd add that short bit about Mom and the sharp knives. Thanks for watching Perhaps Cooking. Feel free to share, give me a thumbs up, or subscribe.